People have always thought of Dolly Parton as a beautiful woman who could turn sadness into a song and anger into a famous song. But there were times she didn't want anyone to see, even though she laughed and smiled a lot. There were times when trust was broken and anger replaced respect. She never yelled, cursed, or banged on doors in public. People who hurt Dolly found out that she remembered everything. After being quiet for 50 years, she has finally talked about the 5 artists who hurt her a lot. Elvis Presley was the king who broke her heart. Dolly Parton was almost at the top of her fame in the early 1970s. I Will Always Love You is the song she just wrote to say goodbye to her old teacher, Porter Wagoner. It was becoming more well-known. The song was real, clean, and honest, like something that can only come from a broken heart. The afternoon, her phone rang with the news that all artists were eager to hear. Elvis, who was the rock and roll king, wanted to record her song. It looked like fate for Dolly. She looked up to Elvis Presley as a child and learned all of his songs by heart. She even hoped to meet him one day. Now he wanted to sing her words and allow his voice to feel what she felt. She was thrilled, scared, and very thankful. Priscilla Presley said that Elvis had sang the song to her by himself on the day they broke up. He believed it was very important, which made Dolly believe it was even more important. The dream came together quickly, but it fell apart just as quickly. Colonel Tom Parker, who was Elvis's strict boss, called Dolly's office with what he always does. If Elvis got half of the writing rights to I Will Always Love You, he would be able to keep half of the money made from the song. Park's simple rule said Elvis could not sing anything unless he was in charge of it. For some people, that might not have been a big deal, but for Dolly Parton, it was everything. Putting out meant to be in charge. Truth, freedom, and a future were what it meant. She had been taught how to sing, smile, and dress for years. She wasn't going to give up her new thing now that she had made it. Colonel Parker pushed her even more when she said no, telling her that saying no to Elvis meant saying no to history. Afterward, Dolly said that she cried all night after the call. Even though she loved Elvis and wanted everyone to hear him sing her songs, she knew that the music came from her heart and that some things can't be sold. Elvis never recorded the song. Dolly could feel the tension in the air whenever his name came up, even though they had never met in person. She thought that Elvis had been hurt by being turned down. He liked the music a lot. It spoke to him when he was feeling the most alone. It was said that Dolly cried alone in her house while playing I Will Always Love You. After Harry died in 1977, she wasn't mad at all. The mood was sad. She turned down her hero, and for years it kept coming back to haunt her. Still, that decision would affect her reputation in the future. His song, I Will Always Love You, from the 1992 movie The Bodyguard, became one of the all-time greats. Dolly made tens of millions of dollars and kept all the rights to the song. What was even more important was that she stayed true to herself. That choice kept coming back to haunt her, though her voice got quieter every time she talked about Elvis. Elvis really liked the song. She said one day, I heard he sang it to Priscilla the day they broke up. She will always remember the worst day of her life, when the king read her words. Most of the time, it wasn't hate. Feeling sad turned into steel by it. Porter Wagoner was the tough teacher who wouldn't let go. She was a young woman from the Smoky Mountains getting used to Nashville before she became famous all over the world. She was Dolly Parton before big movies, wigs, and all of her fans. Porter Wagoner was the one who gave her that chance. She took over for singer Norma Jean on the Porter Wagoner Show in 1967 when she was 21 years old. People who supported were mean at first. A lot of mean people said mean things about her and called her a stranger. Porter did stand by her, though something sparky and real about her caught his eye that he had never seen on TV before. They were famous when they were together. Their duets were the most popular songs. They got along really well. People in the United States also thought they were the perfect match for the country. Even though they were all smiles and gems, their relationship was ending. Porter was very traditional and ran his business with power and control. Dolly was thankful, but she couldn't wait any longer. She wanted to write songs, sing songs that weren't always like his, and try new things. He got more angry as the years went by, while she became more sure of herself. By 1973, the worry was too much to handle. Porter wanted to keep her on his show, run her business, and decide what songs she would record. Dolly wished she could run away. They loved and cared about each other a lot, so every fight hurt. Dolly said that time was like water and oil. Porter asked her to stay for 5 years, but by the 7th, she felt like she had to leave. She did well what she always did. She made a song about how sad she was. In 1974, she sang Porter, I Will Always Love You in his office. A letter of goodbye that looks like a love letter. It was her way of saying thank you and leaving. Porter cried. He wasn't serious when he told her she could leave. The years after that were really bad. Porter sued her for $3 million in 1979. 5 years after she had left, saying she owed him a break in their contract and a share of her pay. Dolly was very sad. She told him afterward, "It broke my heart. I thought he was my friend." She paid as little as possible to end the trouble and peace of mind. The court case changed her. She understood that being thankful doesn't mean giving up. She could love someone and then break up with them. She was successful, and some of the best artists in the world started to admire her. But the anger didn't go away after that. For years, they didn't talk. They were hard until time and sadness made them both softer. In 2002, Dolly named Porter to the Country Music Hall of Fame. Calling him a part of my heart, she was one of the last people to see him after he was diagnosed with lung cancer in 2007. Porter passed away a few weeks after that. Dolly was broken. She showed him respect in Dollywood, away from the people and cameras. "We loved each other," she said one time. "We cared about each other all the time, even when we fought." The person and Linda Ronstadt were friends before they broke up. People all over the world knew and liked Dolly Parton and Linda Ronstadt as singers in the late 1970s and early 1980s. Dolly was known for being friendly and telling stories. She was the queen of the land. Linda was the voice of folk rock in California, and her music was known for being clear and raw. Fans thought they were seeing a once-in-a-lifetime matchup when they formed a group with their close friend Emmylou Harris. When Trio came out in 1987, it became an instant hit because the singers' voices were mixed so well together that critics called it heaven on earth. They got a Grammy Award for selling more than 1 million copies of their country music. There were awards and laughs, but things were beginning to break down. The three women came from very different places, and Dolly and Linda were the most at odds with each other. Dolly taped in a way that was easy for her. Often, she would finish a song in just 1 or 2 takes because she went with her gut. On the other hand, Linda was known for being very careful. She could work on one line for all day, changing her tone of voice and breaths until it felt just right. Dolly thought that level of control made music less enjoyable. Linda thought that Dolly was moving too slowly and without thinking. It started out as a healthy argument, but it turned into anger over time. Over the years, Trio 2 became a very long and hard process. It took longer to make things in the 1990s because of problems with schedules, names, and ideas. Dolly had more work than ever. She had to stop or move a lot of movies, TV shows, Dollywood, and filming events. Linda was mad because she likes things to be in order and for people to pay attention to her. It became tough to be friends with someone who was fun to be with before. Then things went wrong. Linda was tired of waiting, so she chose to move forward. She took Dolly's singing off of some of the unfinished Trio 2 songs so she could put them on her own 1995 album, Feels Like Home. From the outside, it might have seemed like a small choice, but Dolly saw it as betrayal. Those songs were more than just tunes. She thought those memories of ours of laughing and sweet music late at night belonged to all three women. When she heard them without her voice, she felt like she was not a part of her own story. Like always, Dolly did not get a hit. She didn't say mean things about Linda in public, get back at Linda, or say angry things. She picked to be quiet instead. However, her close friends say she was seriously hurt. Most to Dolly, confidence and loyalty were important. She got hurt when she lost both in a project she used to call a family, and she rarely talked about it. Trio 2 came out in 1999. It still had all the fun and beauty of the first album, but Dolly and Linda were not as close. Even though the warmth that made their friendship special was gone, they were still nice enough to push the record and praise each other's skills. After many years, Dolly just showed love and respect when Linda was told she had Parkinson's disease and had to stop singing. Dolly said about Linda in a movie, "She has one of the most beautiful voices in the world." Linda agreed, and the two of them worked well together, though they didn't get back together very often. Together, they made something beautiful, but they also lost something just as important. Howard Stern. That joke was way too funny. All of Life had been seen by Dolly Parton by 2008. It cost a lot to have money and fame. With the grace that was her trademark, she had dealt with lawsuits, sadness, and betrayal. She couldn't have been ready for Howard Stern to make her look bad. Stern loves getting into trouble because he was known for his biting humor and shocking moves. Even though some people liked him, they thought what he did to Dolly was awful. Stern talked about parts of Dolly's show, My Life and Other Unfinished Business. In an episode of The Howard Stern Show that year, her team cut her sentences together and messed up her voice, making it sound like she was yelling rude, sexual, and racist things. Even though it was supposed to be funny, the joke wasn't. It seemed like an attack on Dolly's character in front of all the people who liked her for being kind. When Dolly found out about it, it broke her heart. In a very moving speech, she said she had never been so shocked, hurt, and ashamed in her whole life. For someone who didn't get very angry very often, she said some very strong things. In a blue million years, this woman said, "I would never say something so rude." She even made it sound like she might go to court, which is something she doesn't do very often. Howard Stern didn't say sorry. He said it was just funny because people were becoming too emotional, but the harm was already done. Fans would always remember that he was there because Dolly wouldn't use his name. Then, in 2023, 15 years later, something strange took place. Dolly decided to go on Stern's show to promote her rock album, Rockstar. The quiet between them said more than what they said, even though they were polite and even respectful. She may have forgotten, but she had forgiven. That made Dolly's quiet power stand out the most. She was nice without being weak, and she had grace without giving up. Jeff Tweedy wrote the review that didn't like her very much. Jeff Tweedy, the lead singer of Wilco, talked about Dolly Parton. She was already well known, and her songs had stood the test of time, beating trends, styles, and even generations. But not every person thought that about her. Tweedy caused a stir when he said that Dolly's music was catchy but shallow. He said that her songs weren't as serious or emotional as those of other artists. And he even said that she should have stopped writing after Jolene. That was a mean thing to say. Since Dolly had written more than 3,000 songs, she never had to defend them. But a lot of people who knew her well said the comment hurt her. She became famous for writing about how poor, sad, and religious her family was. Each song told a story about her life, and it hurt a lot when someone brushed that off. Dolly didn't say anything in public. She doesn't need to, but she always does. Her song's words spoke for her. People bought a lot of copies of this song, I Will Always Love You. The Library of Congress saved Coat of Many Colors because it changed the way people thought about things. Even Tweedy's favorite song, Jolene, has been changed by other singers all over the world. In spite of this, the decision still had an effect on her. She once said, "People think you can't be real if you look fake, but everything about me is real. My job, my songs, and my heart." That quiet resistance had an effect on her success. Jeff Tweedy's comments about her may have made many people doubt her depth, but they also showed how deeply Dolly Parton's music speaks to people, not just critics. The main character in Dolly Parton's story is not the person she hated in the end. It's about how she made it through. There were rock stars like Elvis Presley, Howard Stern, Jeff Tweedy, and Linda Ronstadt. 5 names, 5 terrible events, and 5 lessons that made one woman who she is today. She didn't yell back or try to fight back. She turned every taunt into gold and every broken heart into a song instead. She has shown for more than 60 years that power doesn't have to be loud. It lets go, smiles, and sings again every once in a while. Under her charm and beauty is a woman who remembers every insult and responds to them with success instead of anger. Dolly Parton, who is 79 years old now, shows that being kind doesn't mean you're weak and that being smarter than someone who questioned you is the best way to get back at them. Which of these 5 stories surprised you the most?